Dear students, welcome to the second lecture, and in the last lecture we were talking about strategic analysis, and we will continue with this topic, and I will give you a quick recap of what we had discussed in the last lecture, and from there we will continue. So, this is the thing which we were discussing in the last lecture, that strategic analysis can be conducted at two levels. The first is the corporate level strategic analysis and the second is the business level strategic analysis. And the corporate level strategic analysis, it focuses on analyzing businesses under the same corporate umbrella, in the businesses which are part of the different businesses which are part of the same company. And the alternatives here are, as we had discussed, stability, expansion, all the corporate level strategies, expansion, stability, retrenchment and combination. And the second level is business level strategic analysis, wherein we analyze a particular unit or a particular business within a particular company. So, these are also known as generic strategies as called by Michael Porter. And this is the diagram which was before you in the last turn, wherein on the x axis we had taken source of competitive advantage, and here we had taken up cost and differentiation, and on the y axis we had taken the scope, and scope was narrow or broad. So, we will now discuss these strategies in detail. Now, it all depends on the intention of the company. It all depends on the desired objective of the company. There are certain companies which want to achieve competitive advantages by keeping the cost low. There are certain companies, so these are known as the cost leadership companies, and there are certain companies which want to be competitive in the market by offering products which have new features, innovative features which are different from what competitors are offering. So, they pursue the strategy of differentiation. And then comes the third strategy, which is known as the focus strategy. That is why here we are using the scope is narrow, right. Here we are using the scope as broad. So, we will discuss now what each strategy means. Now, these, as I said, these are known as the generic strategies also. The first is cost leadership. And as we have discussed, a business which focuses on reducing the cost to deliver the products or services to a customer is pursuing the business level strategy of cost leadership. So, if you look at here, the source of competitive advantage for this business is cost. It is trying to keep the cost as low as possible so that it can give the benefit of low price to the customer, and hence it wants to stay ahead of competition. And the scope is broad. Scope is broad means it wants to cater to all the customers in the market which want to purchase the product. So, it is meant for everybody, the scope is broad. So, then the second strategy is differentiation strategy. Here the company wants to, as I said, introduce new and innovative features in the product, and hence it wants to stay ahead of the competition. It can charge a premium price because it will involve a lot of R&D and experimentation. So, it can charge a premium and the customers will be willing to pay that premium price because the customer also is interested in the new features, in the different features, unique features which this company is offering. So, they are not that much bothered about the price, but the scope here also is broad. That means that the company is offering these products to any customers in the market who want to buy the product. So, as you can see, a business in differentiation strategy, a business focuses on differentiating their products or services from competitors. This strategy has a wide spectrum from full product diversity through to unique features with a core product. So, there is a core product, but the features which are being made available in this core product are so unique that the customers prefer the company or prefer the product against any other competitive products. Now, for example, the companies which pursue cost leadership would be Walmart, everyday low pricing they say. So they always attract the customer, or they always their the objective will be to reduce the cost of their operations, to reduce the cost of their logistics, and deliver the product at the lowest possible price to the customer, so that customer returns to them again and again, right. And here they have to put lot of emphasis on, they cannot afford to increase the cost at any point. So they have to keep the cost under control, right. So what will happen here? Here the profit margins will be low. Profit margins obviously will be low, because you are trying to reduce the cost and then you are trying to charge low price from the customer. So the profit margins will be thin, they will be low, but because of high sales volume, because you are selling so many products, that is why that you are getting enough revenue because of that, right. So for example, as I said, Walmart, Big Bazaar, right, Big Bazaar says isse sasta aur acha kahin aur nahi milega. So again they are emphasizing on the word sasta, cheap, low prices. So they are also going for cost leadership. McDonald's also focuses on the price of the burger, right. When it entered into the Indian market, the burger was somewhere around 24-25 rupees. So the promotions itself, even in the good restaurants, the burger was much expensive than what McDonald's as an international chain was offering. So again their strategy was cost leadership. Now when we come to differentiation, as I said, the company is not looking into what cost it is incurring, because the customer is ready to pay for the unique products or the services which the company is offering. So they go for differentiation. For example, a company like Apple is known for its latest products with unique features, and it is always the market leader in introducing new technology. Lot of R&D the companies goes for, and as a result of that, the customers are ready to pay premium price. Whether it is their iPod, whether it is their iPad, whether it is iPhone, whether it is the Mac, everywhere the company introduces the best possible features, unique features in the products which are not found in the competitors, and it can charge a premium price for that, right. So again it believes in differentiation strategy. The product is available to anybody who wants to buy the product. I mean, all phone users, they can buy that product if they want to buy, if they can afford, they have the willingness to purchase the product, right. Then similarly, you must have heard of this product called Duracell batteries. There were a lot of batteries before also Duracell entered the market, but it projected itself as different. How? Because the batteries were having a very long life, right. So as a result of that, it became attractive to the customer. So Eveready and Nippon, there were a lot of other battery makers, but somehow they lost in the race because Duracell batteries have longer backup, right. So this is how differentiation strategy works. Again, Starbucks is an outlet, if you have been to, or if you have heard about it, or if you have read about it, then you must be knowing that it is again a very premium brand. It believes in giving an experience to the customer, but it is highly priced. The prices are towards premium, but once you go to Starbucks and if you are sitting there also, and if you had just a coffee and you are sitting there for 2 hours, 3 hours, they will not say anything to you, right. And it is said in Silicon Valley in USA, many of the companies, they started from Starbucks outlet, because new entrepreneurs didn't have that much of money to invest into an office. So they went to the Starbucks outlet, ordered some coffee or something, sat there, discussed for the day, 3-4 people to start the company, discussed there, used the Wi-Fi, and ultimately they launched their company. So many of the startups, they owe their birth to Starbucks. So that is again, it pursues a differentiation strategy, and Starbucks is very proud of this recognition which it has got. Similarly, you must be all using Google as a search engine. Now, before Google also there were several search engines, and today also there are several search engines. But when you open the page of other search engines, you will find out, whether you open Yahoo, Bing or any other search engine, then you will find that the page is totally cluttered. It is full of information, lot of things are written on the page, and there is a small search bar on the top, right. So, sometimes you get confused that where do you enter the search terms. But when you open a Google page, if you remember, the page is absolutely neat and clean. There is a search bar in the center, the page is totally white around you, and there are 3-4 icons on the right side, and that is it. It is totally clean page. So, when Google introduced itself into the market, it wanted to be different. It could have gone the same way, it could have posted lot of ads on the page itself, lot of information cluttered, but it wanted to give a different experience to the customer, and this is how it could penetrate into the market. Then, as I said, that Porter introduced this focus strategy also, which was later bifurcated into cost focus strategy and differentiation focus strategy. Now, when we talk about focus, then what happens? The scope of our business or scope of our products becomes narrow. That means we are not offering the product and services for everybody. Everybody in the sense that we are not, anybody, the product is not meant for the mass market, it is meant for specific users or consumers of the product who want that kind of a product. So, there are two aspects of this strategy, the focus to when a company focuses on a niche market. Here you must be aware of this word niche in marketing, that is select group of customers either by industry or geography, and becomes expert in delivering for that industry, right. So, it can be in a particular industry, you can create a niche in a particular industry, that is you do not move beyond that industry, or a particular geography that your products are available only in UP or only in Delhi. So, that also can be a niche, right. So, as I said that the focus here is narrow, niche, right. So, when we talk about cost focus, there are certain very interesting examples of companies looking into reducing the cost, providing products or services at the lowest possible price to the customers, and thus targeting a very niche market also. So, one example is of a company is Papa's Murphy. Now, Papa's Murphy is an organization, or it is a company which sells ready to make pizzas. You must have had used ready to make products, ready to make dals, chapatis, and you just go home, put it in the microwave or heat it up, and the product is ready to consume. Similarly, this company makes available to the customer ready to make pizzas. The pizzas are not ready to eat, but you can go home and you can microwave them and they will be ready to eat. Now, as a result of that, it is only focusing on customers who cannot pay exorbitant prices for ready pizzas, right. So, they do not want to go to the restaurant and order a pizza from a very branded outlet, because they cannot afford or they do not want to spend that much of money, but they want to have pizza. So, this company provides this kind of a services. Similarly, there is another company which is called Checkers Drive. It has also several outlets, and as the name suggests, drive, it is a drive-through restaurant. There are no seating, indoor seating arrangements available. Like for example, in McDonald's we have a mix and match that you can drive through also and pick your order, or you can go and sit inside and order for yourself. But in Checkers Drive, there is no indoor seating, so they save on the rentals of the sitting area, rentals and the AC and the lighting, all those expenses they save, and having so many employees in a seating area. So, they only go for the minimum cost and they give very good quality burgers to customers who are interested in having burgers, but they do not want to spend so much of money in sitting in a restaurant and having, because in McDonald's if you go, you will be charged the same price whether you are sitting inside or you are getting that burger delivered through the drive through. So, but here in this company, in this organization, in this outlet, there will be low prices which will be charged because there is no sitting area and you are just to go, you have to order and you have to collect. There is just a window through which you can collect your order. Then there is also this organization known as Red Box. Red Box, it started with this unique concept of having kiosks or outlets. This is a red box, so it was in the form of a red box, like a booth, right, red booth outside prominent places like a pharmacy store or a convenience store or a fast food joint. They will have these small cubicles which will be painted red, and all latest CDs and DVDs, and even at that point video game CDs were very popular. So, movie CDs and video game CDs, DVDs will be available in this red box. You can take them on rent with a very minimal charges, and you can, the liberty was also, the freedom was also that you can return it to any outlet also. So, you do not have to go back to the same outlet from where you got that CD. So, it was a very convenient thing for the customer to have. So, they were charging very less prices in comparison to other companies or other dealers who were into the renting of CDs and DVDs, and they were saving on the cost, and that advantage they were passing on to the customers. So, these are how companies pursue a cost focus strategy. Then similarly is the differentiation focus strategy, because here also the company is working for a niche market, but it is trying to deliver products and services which are different or unique from the competition. So, there are two aspects. One is focusing, so the company is being different, but different from whom? What are the two aspects? There is a differentiation aspect of the strategy, and the other is the business is entering a niche marketplace not meant for everybody. So, here again we can see the differentiation is there, but the scope is narrow, right. So, here examples would be of companies like Animal Planet. You must have all watched Animal Planet, but do you watch it regularly? Only those people who are very interested in adventure, in wildlife, in animal life, watch Animal Planet regularly. So, the channel is totally different from the channels which are there in the marketplace, and so it is a differentiation strategy. They are providing certain unique product, but it is only meant for people who are actually interested in that area. Or there was this Epic channel, right, wherein again it was a different kind of contents which were being aired through that channel. So, this is how differentiation focus works. Then Nike produces footwear basically for sports persons and athletes and people who are interested in workouts. They do not produce shoes or footwear for anybody and everybody. You don't get, you can buy for yourself, that is up to you if you want to spend that much of amount, but they will not produce shoes like Bata or Liberty, that there are formals and casuals and this and that. They will only produce shoes which are for sport person and people who are interested in workout, and in that category they will provide the most unique products which are possible. Their products are high priced because customers know that what they are getting through it. They continuously do R&D, keep on improving the sole of the shoe so that it is best for the athlete. It gives the most, it is lightweight. It also it introduced a technology wherein the shoe straps they would they would tighten themselves or loosen themselves automatically when the athlete is running or the sports person is active on the field. And many times what happens when your laces are tied and the person is running, he feels, oh, my shoe is loose or my shoe is tight. So they introduce this concept of the laces, which would go automatically for loosening and tightening depending on how much pressure is being applied on the shoe by the foot. So this smart and intelligent technologies they introduced into the shoes. So these are not meant for everybody, they are meant for a very very niche market. Their shoe can be synced in with your mobile, so that all the data can be passed out, how many steps you have walked and what was the speed and everything that can be you can access on your mobile. Similarly, there is this resort, a chain of resorts which is known as Breezy's Resort. They operate tropical resorts, and what is the differentiation here? What is so special about Breezy's? They are only available to people without kids. You can only go to Breezy's Resort if you do not have kids or if you are not taking your kids along, right. So, what is the differentiation here? That people who go to have a nice and comfortable relaxing time in the resort, they are assured that they will not be disturbed by the screaming or crying or running here and there of children. So, they can get a very very peaceful experience at the resort. So, they will be charging high prices for this because, but this product is, or this service which they are offering is a different service, it is a customized service, it is a unique service which they are providing, and that is why it is only meant for a niche market, because everybody cannot go there because of their children are not allowed. So, this is how differentiation focused strategy works. So, I hope that you have understood the concept of strategic analysis and how the business level strategies operate, right. Now, we come to the next part, that is techniques of strategic analysis, and from here we will be discussing the techniques only. There are other techniques also, but the first technique which we will take up in this topic is McKinsey's 7S model, right. Now, this model was developed in 1980s by McKinsey consultants. You know, McKinsey is a very famous consulting group, consulting organization, and the people involved in designing of this technique was Tom Peters, Robert Waterman, Julian Phillips, and there was little support from Richard Pascal and Anthony G. Ethos. So, these are the people who worked and developed this model. Now, it is a framework for organizational effectiveness, how you improve the functioning and the output which is being given or produced by the organization. So, it is a model for improving organizational effectiveness that postulates that there are 7 internal factors. That is why it is known as 7 S because all the factors start with the letter S, and of an organization that need to be aligned, they have to work in the same direction, they cannot go counter to each other and reinforce in order to be successful. So, they do not have to be aligned only aligned, but they have to strengthen each other, they have to constantly keep on improving themselves, these factors have to be improved and they have to in turn improve other factors. And the model comprises a mix of these 7 factors can be divided into 2 categories. The first category are the hard elements which are clear cut and influenced by management. These are the factors which actually come from the management. So, these are very clear, precise, concise, say they come from the management, and then these are the second set of factors are the soft elements and soft elements which are fuzzier meaning thereby not very clear. You cannot define them very clearly, right. They may be different in different people's perceptions, and they are influenced by corporate culture. They are influenced by the culture of the organization. Now, continuing with this, the hard elements in McKinsey's model are strategy. Now, we all know, because in this paper you have been discussing from the very start what is a strategy. So, the first element and a very important element is the strategy, a plan which is developed by a firm to achieve sustained competitive advantage and successfully compete in the market. So, why is a strategy formulated? You know very well by now that sustained competitive advantage, and the very important word here is sustained, that you have to be ahead of competition, but it has to be a continuous ahead. If you are ahead for 1 day, 1 month, 15 days, 2 months or 6 months also, that is not a competitive advantage, and again the competitor pushes you down. So, you have to be continuously, for a long period of time, you have to derive a competitive advantage, and that means whatever whatever you are offering to the customer, it cannot be easily copied by competition, it cannot be easily imitated, and you are also working on improving your products and services, and successfully, as a result of that, the company can successfully compete in the market. Then the second hard element, these are all coming from the management, as we know. A second factor or the element is structure. Now, structure, you must be knowing what is a structure. Structure is the way business divisions and units are organized, and includes the information of who is accountable to whom. Now, structure is very important in an organization, because otherwise there will be a lot of chaos and confusion. So, we have to decide who will be at the top, then who will be next, who will be reporting to him, and similarly who will be receiving orders from whom, and who will be giving feedback to whom. So, we have to divide the entire organizations for clear functioning, for smooth functioning. We have to divide the entire organizations into divisions, units, departments. So, these all comprise the structure of the organization. Sometimes we call it as the hierarchy of the organization, sometimes we call it the organizational chart, but they all refer to the framework of the organization and how people are placed in different positions in the organization. Then there are systems, the way by which the functions are carried out in the organization, the processes and how decisions are made. Soft elements which are fuzzier, skills, the talents and capabilities of the people. Staff, what is the recruitment process, retention process, training, motivational processes or techniques. Then the third soft element is style, that is the way in which management functions and how it influences productivity and corporate culture. Shared values, the ways, the do's and don'ts in the organization, what is considered good, what is considered bad. So, these are the shared, and they guide employee behavior, and this is how the McKinsey models looks like, hard S, soft S, you can see, right. And these are all interrelated. The 7 elements are dynamic and change continuously. So, you have to take a note of that also, and a change in one element always has effects on the other elements and requires implementing new organizational design. So, a continuous review is very important. I hope you have understood this. Thank you so much.